You ever have one of those days where you pull up somewhere and feel like you've just stepped right out of your own lifetime and landed in someone else's nightmare? That's exactly what hit me the minute my tires crunched over the old gravel drive at McCord Ridge. Not just déjà vu. No, this was more like a punch in the gut from the universe itself. Because here I was, staring at land my grandfather carved out of the wild with his bare hands, and I barely recognized it. Felt like the whole thing had been snatched out from under us. Not by time or nature, but by folks in shiny SUVs, wielding clipboards and rules like they were hunting licenses. The first welcome I got wasn't from a neighbor or an old friend. It was from the Homeowners Association, that lovely collection of folks with badges and an appetite for control. They tried to tell me I owed rent just for standing on the very spot where my family story began. I'll be honest, at first, I figured it was just the usual HOA power play, somebody wanting to show off. But the longer I stood my ground, the deeper the cracks in their story ran. Beneath all those rules and regulations, I started smelling rot, the kind that can turn a whole community upside down if you kick the right stone. Truth is, I hadn't driven that winding mountain road in over 15 years. But the minute my truck took that first rough bend, the years fell away. Suddenly, I could see my granddad, big as life, pounding survey stakes into the dirt, calling out to a muddy-booted kid trailing behind. Lines matter, Ethan. Someday, someone's going to try to move what ain't theirs. Back then, it just sounded like old man talk. Didn't mean a thing to me. Now it's carved into my bones. The ridge I remembered was wild, quiet, splintered fences, pine roots curling through the earth, that old cabin with its stubborn lean. But topping that last rise, I nearly drove off the road. Suburbia, like some developer had just dropped it from a helicopter. Rows of modern houses, fake log lodges, street lamps blinking like city eyes in the country night. As if somebody wanted to erase every memory my family left in the soil, replace it with concrete and manicured lawns. Right there at the new gate, a fancy sign, all shiny brass, reading Ridge View Summit HOA, private access only. Private, on land that still, in my heart, bore our name. I got out of my truck, boots grinding in the gravel, and just stood there, letting the air settle around me. Somewhere under all this was the old promise. Those survey stakes Granddad hammered down. His word, buried beneath asphalt and arrogance. Didn't even have time to let the nostalgia sting before a silver SUV crept up, tires barely making a sound. Window rolled down, and out leaned this woman, Valerie Huxley, as I'd soon learn. Face drawn so tight you'd think a smile might break it. Eyes cold, measuring me up and down like I was a trespasser at my own funeral. "Sir, can I help you?" And her tone said she'd already decided the answer was no. Told her I was home. That got about as much warmth as a February blizzard. "This is HOA-managed land," she snapped. "If you're not a resident, state your business." I set my jaw and said it as plain as I could. "I own the ridge." Her look turned from suspicion to something darker. "Impossible. This entire road falls under Ridge View Summit jurisdiction." The conversation went downhill fast. Paperwork waving in my face, fines for parking, threats of escalation, rent, road use. Her confidence was that special kind people get when they believe the whole world is rigged in their favor. I asked to see the boundary documents. She just smiled, a real shark smile. "Not available to non-residents." Then she told me to be gone by sundown or my truck would disappear. I stood there, letting the weight of generations press against my chest, and wondered how we got here. My grandfather never sold an inch. Not to anyone. Not for any reason. So how in the world did a whole neighborhood get built here, with people like Valerie believing they had every right to push me out? The old cabin was still standing, but it looked smaller now, hemmed in by glass and asphalt. I was just standing there, taking it all in, when Sheriff Cole pulled up, an old wildfire buddy from way back, wearing a badge and an apologetic face. "HOA filed complaints," he said. They've got county documents all signed off by Glenn Huxley 15 years ago. Glenn, as it turns out, was Valerie's husband and the county liaison. Find anything older than those records, Ethan? Cole asked. Start now. So I did. I tore through the cabin, appending every drawer and box for hours, searching for anything that might prove our claim. Came up empty until I wandered out by the fallen fence line and ran into Tom Ridgely, still sharp as a tack despite the years. Your granddad never sold, he insisted. HOA just showed up with papers, said the county signed off. It was all a setup. Glenn pushed it through, called it expired rights. That phrase stuck in my head, expired rights. Tom told me if there was proof, it'd be in the attic. County never looked there. As I hauled myself up through a cloud of dust, Valerie rolled by again, snapping photos, slapping another fine on the door, throwing trespasser around like confetti, as if saying it enough times would make it true. Up in the attic, under a pile of old tax receipts and mouse nests, I found what mattered, an old metal box, latch busted, inside a pile of yellowed papers. Not deeds, leases. Land use permission, McCord Ridge, 1958. Every renewal stamp, the last one left unpaid 12 years ago. If the land was really sold, why did the HOA stop paying? These weren't forgotten agreements. They were the foundation of a lie. Next thing I know, Glenn corners me in the driveway, badge on his belt, county authority dripping from every word. This ridge isn't yours, Ethan. HOA has jurisdiction. You're in violation. But jurisdiction isn't ownership. When I pressed for proof, all he could do was threaten more citations. The HOA is patient, Ethan. Push us, and we'll push back. He left, but I could see the cracks in his confidence. I dug deeper. Old survey maps, my grandfather's careful hand marking boundaries that match my childhood, not the HOA's fake perimeter. It was deliberate. Maps had been forged, county files manipulated, boundary lines moved for convenience, not for law. I called in Reese Dalton, a land rights lawyer, and watched his face get darker with every page he read. Ethan, this isn't just a property dispute. Someone's been covering up the truth. We went to Darla Monroe at the county archives. She found the original 1958 lease, my grandfather's signature, payment ledgers, and, hidden in a sealed addendum, a reversion clause. If lease payments lapsed for 90 days, everything, every improvement, reverted to the landowner. HOA hadn't paid in 12 years. Every home, every fence, all of it should have reverted to the McCord family. The very next day, the HOA went into panic mode. More patrols, more fines, threats of forced removal. They even dumped construction waste on my land, then blamed me for environmental violations. I set up trail cams, caught them in the act. Even Marcy Hill, the HOA treasurer, finally broke. She whispered, Valerie's planning something reckless. They've done this before. Don't let them catch you off guard. It was never about rules. It was about power and who'd break the most to keep it. Late one night, with a storm rolling in, I crawled beneath the cabin floor and found the keystone. The full lease and notarized reversion clause, the last payment receipt, and my grandfather's note. If they ever stop paying, Ethan, everything comes home. That was more than paperwork. That was the bullet. Armed with certified copies, Reese and I built our case. Marcy showed up, shaking, with a flash drive, real HOA ledgers, secret transfers, embezzled money funneled to Valerie and Glenn. The board had backdated votes, faked renewals, covered up every dirty secret. We called a meeting at the community barn. Everyone showed. Valerie tried to command a room, but for once, people weren't buying it. Slide by slide, we laid out the truth. The original lease, the lapsed payments, the forgeries, the reversion clause. Marcy stood up, crying, trembling, finally honest, confessed it all. Sheriff Cole read the charges: fraud, forgery, embezzlement. Valerie and Glenn were arrested right there, in front of everyone. I took the mic and told them straight. I wasn't here to steal homes. I was here for justice. You'll have a chance to buy your lots at fair prices. No more HOA dictatorship. No more hidden fees. Just dignity and truth. The applause wasn't polite. It was relief, pure and simple. Over the next days, everything changed. County launched investigations. The HOA was gone, replaced by a volunteer board. Finances out in the open for once. Instead of cashing out, I kept my word. 50 grand per lot, 10-year payment plans, no more fines for grass or mailboxes. The sign at the subdivision entrance came down. Sheriff Cole was there to see it off. People wept, hugged, said thank you, finally able to breathe again. Lesson learned? Power built on fear, and lies only last until someone stands up and kicks out the rotten supports. Justice might take its time, but when it comes, it's thorough. My grandfather was right. The land always knows its owner. And now, under a big Montana sky, I'm finally at peace. Ridgeview Summit is just Ridgeview again, owned by folks who call it home, not ruled by paper and threats. And that leaves me wondering, how far would you go to fight for what's rightfully yours? Where's the line between authority and abuse? Have you seen justice catch up with the ones who thought they were untouchable? Drop your thoughts, your battles, right down below. If you believe in truth winning out, or you've got your own story about holding the line, stick around. There's always another fight for justice, just over the next ridge.